Welcome to This Explainer. Look, if you're a postgrad trying to balance full-time work, family stuff, and a completely wild coursework load, you probably feel like you're just constantly running out of hours in the day, right? I see you. I know exactly how overwhelming that reality is. You're juggling so many massive priorities, and half the time it just feels like you're barely keeping your head above water. But today, we're going to completely transform how you approach your studies. We're going to take the stress right out of that academic juggle and actually give you back control.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll bust the time management myth. Then, we'll get into mastering your time and energy, followed by conquering the coursework itself. After that, we'll look at maintaining momentum and support, and wrap up with the ultimate success formula.
Section 1, the time management myth.
We absolutely have to start by challenging the single biggest misconception out there about postgraduate study. Succeeding, it's really less about finding more time and so much more about making deliberate decisions about where your time goes. Think about it. We can't magically invent a 25th hour in the day. It's just not happening. But what we can do, and what the most successful students actually do, is dictate exactly where those existing hours go. We need to shift away from this impossible task of miraculously finding time and focus on deliberately designing it. You've got to be the architect of your schedule, not a victim of it.
Moving on to Section 2, master your time and energy.
All right, so this is all about the actual logistics of when and how you study. The very first strategy here is to treat your study time as a recurring appointment. Seriously, you have to stop telling yourself, "Oh, I'll just study when I have some free time this week." Let's be real, you're never going to just magically have free time. Instead, you need to schedule fixed study blocks in your calendar, exactly like you would a mandatory meeting at work. Blocking out specific windows, say Tuesday from 7 to 9 p.m., or maybe Saturday from 9 to 11 a.m., creates hard boundaries. And consistency will always beat those exhausting, occasional, long cram sessions. When your calendar says it's study time, you show up, just like you would for your boss.
And that brings us to a really vital concept. You need to match your tasks to your energy levels, not just the time you have available. We all have specific times of the day when our brains are just sharper, right? You absolutely must aggressively protect those high energy hours for your most demanding work. We're talking critical reading, complex problem solving, and the actual writing. Save your lower energy times, like maybe right after a brutal workday or late at night, for tasks that don't require heavy cognitive lifting. Things like formatting your reference list, passively watching lecture recordings, organizing notes, or just replying to emails. Because if you try to do demanding writing when your tank is completely empty, a 1-hour task is going to take you 3 frustrating hours, guaranteed.
Here's another highly effective strategy. Leverage micro-study blocks of just 10 to 20 minutes. Look, learning absolutely does not require this luxurious, uninterrupted 2-hour block of perfect silence. You can use 15 minutes while you're waiting for a meeting to start, or sitting on the train, to quickly review a set of lecture slides. Or maybe read the abstract of a single journal article, review a few formulas, or just click through some digital flashcards on your phone. These tiny, incredibly focused micro-study sessions, they add up massively over the course of a 12-week semester.
Section 3, conquering the coursework.
So now that we have our time and energy mapped out, how do we tackle those daunting, massive assignments without completely losing our minds? Well, it really comes down to a stark contrast in mindsets. A lot of students see a new assignment pop up and think, whatever, that's not due for another 4 weeks, and they completely ignore it. But the successful postgrad, they'll spend just 30 minutes today understanding the task. And honestly, that's the secret right there. You don't need to start writing the essay on day 1. During that quick 30-minute block, you just carefully read the assignment, review the grading rubric, pinpoint the exact deliverables, and jot down any quick clarifying questions for your lecture. By doing that, you instantly remove a massive amount of paralyzing uncertainty right out of the gate.
And once you actually understand the task, please, never just write "finish assignment" on your to-do list. That is terrifying and it's super unhelpful. Instead, break that massive project down into a timeline of really small, actionable milestones across several weeks. Notice how manageable this makes things? Week 1 is just about reading, outlining, and maybe gathering references. Week 2, that's for drafting the introduction and methods. By week 3, you're finishing up the analysis and figures, which leaves week 4 purely for editing, checking your references, and submitting the whole thing early. Small, clearly defined wins create incredible psychological momentum.
Now this leads us to a huge roadblock for a lot of high-achieving postgrads, and that is perfectionism. Just remember this. You can always improve a draft. You cannot improve a blank page. You really have to aim for progress, not perfection.
A messy, completely poorly worded first draft written today is infinitely more valuable than a flawless introduction that only exists in your head. Just get the words down on the page. We can fix them later.
We also need to talk about the danger of the snowball effect when it comes to your lectures. Listen, if you miss one lecture, it doesn't just mean you missed a single hour of class. It often means you missed key contextual explanations, you totally misunderstood an upcoming assessment, and now you're going to have to spend double the time trying to catch up all by yourself later. If your schedule means you absolutely cannot attend a live lecture, you must schedule a fixed time within the next couple of days to watch the recording. Do not let it snowball on you.
And when it finally comes time to hand in that coursework, just think about the difference between these two approaches. Planning to submit at 11:59 p.m. on the dot is basically a recipe for absolute panic. Because you know what happens, right? Your boss suddenly dumps extra work on you, a kid gets sick, or your Wi-Fi inexplicably decides it's the absolute perfect time for a mandatory system update. Aiming to finish at least 24 hours early for online quizzes and several days early for major reports, that makes you virtually immune to those unexpected life events, and it just massively reduces your stress levels.
Section 4. Momentum and support.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about logistics, but sustaining your drive across an entire degree really requires psychological strategies and actually leaning on your support systems. If you find yourself stuck and confused about a topic or an assignment for more than a few days, do not sit alone in your home office staring at a screen in frustration. 5 minutes of clarification from a lecturer can literally save you hours of wasted effort. So ask for help early. Post your question on the discussion forum, jump into a virtual consultation session, or just chat with your classmates.
And on those particularly grueling weeks, the ones when work is absolutely crazy, the kids are sick, and you somehow have 2 assignments due, you really need to pause and ask yourself, what career goal am I actually working towards? Don't just hyper-focus on the immediate stressful assignment in front of you. Remind yourself of the new capabilities you're developing right now. Connecting your daily, exhausting study grind to a much larger, exciting long-term goal makes it significantly easier to stay motivated when things inevitably get tough.
Section 5. The ultimate success formula. Having analyzed exactly how successful postgrads manage their incredibly demanding lives, we can basically boil everything down to 3 key habits. Number 1, they study consistently. They treat it like an ongoing practice rather than just relying on desperate last-minute cramming. Number 2, they start their assessments early, even if that literally just means spending 30 minutes reading the instructions weeks in advance. And number 3, they communicate early. They ask for help the absolute second they hit a roadblock, rather than just suffering in silence until the deadline. These 3 habits are a way stronger predictor of your academic success than simply having more free hours in the day. Steady, well-planned effort over a semester will literally always outperform intensive last-minute panic, for sure.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final thought. Ask yourself, which of these deliberate habits will you choose to start today? You don't have to fix the whole shebang all at once. Maybe today you just block out a recurring study time on your calendar. Or maybe you just spend 15 minutes mapping out your high-energy hours. Remember, you have the power to design your time. Pick just one strategy, implement it right now, and take that first step toward mastering your postgraduate success. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.